Today, we are going to talk about Skinamarink.
Skinmarink a dink a dink?
Skinamarinkadoo?
Skinmarink a doo. Yeah, I really hate you.
I hate you too.
And and the IMDb thing, and I guess the trailer. I guess we saw it when we watched. I forget what we watched. It was a Violent Night when we first saw the trailer. I don't remember,
Yes.
but I thought the trailer for this was badass. Like I don't know, like I don't get really creeped out by much or whatever, or just like impressed or that interested really. And I didn't want to know any more about the movie or like read anything about it going into it. But that trailer was just, I don't know, I just think that trailer is like kind of pretty badass. Like kind of that old school Last House on the Left type narration.
Yes.
And I don't know, I was interested in it, and I didn't know it was gonna be the way it was.
Hmm.
And then just real quick on the IMDb page, it just says, and I didn't even know this going into the movie what it was about. It's not like you learn much about it from the trailer. I think the trailer just goes this house or in this house, in this house. But it says two children wake up in the middle of the night to find their father is missing, and all the windows and doors in their home have vanished. So I didn't know that was kind of what was going on from the beginning, but that's I guess the tagline. And it was directed by Kyle Edward Ball, I think is his name. And I think this is pretty much his first movie, if you can call this a movie, kind of. Um, no, I shouldn't say that. It's a movie, but it's his first movie, and I guess there's a short film. This is based on like his short movie, and then he made it into a full length. And he also wrote the movie. And it says the movie stars Jamie Hill, Lucas Paul, and Ross Paul, who are not really known for anything.
Mm.
And as you were telling me earlier, and it looks it like it was made on a budget of about $15,000.
Damn. Not bad. It's a low budget horror, and from what I kind of saw somewhere that they're not necessarily a niche horror genre, but I guess they're trying to consider this with like an analog horror genre. Uh, because I guess you would say this horror movie, we can call it a horror movie, was very minimalistic.
Yeah, I guess that's gonna be its main. I guess that's gonna be its biggest thing and its biggest strength and biggest weakness. I guess because some people are gonna appreciate that, and some people are gonna just be completely like turned off by that.
Yes. And that description from the trailer, from what you read, seemed pretty accurate, where the two kids seem to be trapped in this house. Give or take, I forgot how long the movie was, but I would say maybe like an hour and a half.
It seemed a little bit longer. If I were to guess, I would say probably an hour and 40 minutes. I don't
100
know if my
minutes.
IMDb. Yeah, it's about an hour and 40 minutes. Okay.
And I don't know, do you want to just go off? Like, what did you think of the movie? Do you want to, is there anything you wanted to discuss about the movie in particular?
Well, like I said, I didn't know the movie was going to be the way it was, and I guess we can just say spoiler alerts because I don't really have any way of like knowing how this is going to go, this conversation. But like from the trailer, like I just thought that it was going to be kind of just like there's just a trailer being like that where basically all the shots are not really in focus or well lit or whatever. And I get it, like a lot of movies try to do that retro look, like the kind of how the VHS does, kind of
Yes.
House of the Devil X kind of tries to go for that retro look.
Mm.
But like there's actual like light and stuff like that, and you can actually see actors and their faces and make things out. Like this was purposely done to where you can't. And I guess that's what it's either you're gonna either go along for the ride or you're gonna like want to get off the ride and be like, when's this gonna end? Because it is very experimental and it's real easy. Like anybody could have done it, like in a certain way. Like some of the shots, like you can't tell if this guy's a skilled director or he just kind of had a clever idea.
Yes, because I would say that nothing was really in focus because there's nothing really. It was all pretty much in shadow, and there was never any direct shots of any of the actors because it's I guess supposed to be the mom, dad, and two kids, and
Yes,
you never really see them directly. And the kids are like toddler age.
and a lot of the scenes are shot like from low angle or high angle with where there's maybe light or there's like mostly darkness, and even when there is light, it's grainy light. It's like really grainy, and a lot of the camera stays on the like the shot for a while where like you expect something's going to come out of the shadows or something's going to move or things like that are going to happen.
Yes, because
And I would say
sorry, real quick, because the movie's supposed to set place in 1995, correct? I believe it
I
did.
don't. Yeah, some it's in the 90s sometime.
So yeah, so it's or I guess the everything in the house is kind of dated to that time of like the big TV and no smartphones, anything like that. And so I get probably are visually with the that's kind of I guess the era they're trying to record. Like it's not super high def or anything like that.
Yeah, but even the 90s, I mean, there was like I don't know, like I don't know how like I don't know how to describe like the visuals of this movie more like because it's the whole movie is like this. It's not like
Yeah, so it
just a segment.
looked like it was done on a smartphone with a flashlight and like some type of like blue filter or something to for dramatic effect.
Do you think it was actually done, or are you just saying that? Like, was it done with the cell phone, or was it like an old?
Oh, I have no idea, but to me it looks like that's the same quality. If I were to use my phone to make that to replicate that type of movie,
Yeah, okay.
that's
Because that's what I was gonna bring up too. Because I would like I know this movie was it's gonna be super polarizing, and it is, but like fucking Steven Soderbergh made that Unsane movie with his iPhone or whatever, and I thought that was more. I would rather watch this movie more over than I would watch that movie, and that's like an Oscar-winning director doing an Apple movie with his Apple iPhone or whatever.
yeah.
And I thought, okay, well, they're both visually kind of like I don't know, they're not crisp. They're just both visually kind of unappealing, but this one was way more unappealing, but more watchable to me than Unsane was.
Hmm.
But it's just that, like, I don't know, the visuals are gonna, you're gonna want to leave or stop watching it, or you're gonna be okay, kind of fascinated by it to see, okay, where is this gonna go, or when's something gonna happen? When are they gonna get to the fireworks factory?
Yeah. And because yeah, this it's very low key. There isn't like a lot going on for this movie. There's not like any I guess payoff. Maybe towards the very end with a certain scene, but aside from that, it's a very slow burn. There's very minimal dialogue. It's mostly the kids talking. Again, they're like kids, toddlers, and um, most of the time you can't really make out what they're saying. They put captions so you can kind of make sense of what they're saying. Other times there are no captions, and sometimes they
I
talk.
can just say like if anybody like goes into this movie and like I'm almost certain if you kind of just go into this movie not knowing much about it, your first thing is gonna be like, how long is it gonna stay like this? Is it just, and then eventually is it gonna be like, and you're gonna be telling yourself, is the whole movie gonna be like this, or when's it gonna actually start, or when things gonna start happening? But it's like that the whole way through. So how you see it, like the first, I don't know, the first once the movie starts, it stays that way. It's not like a dream sequence or this long segment. The whole movie's gonna be that visual style, and
Yes,
it's either gonna, and I get what the guy was going for, and then I guess it'll be up to the viewer to see if it did it and accomplished it within like each individual person. But I'm imagining his goal was to try to create this disorientation and this like, I guess this feel if you were a little kid experiencing this thing where you're in this house and it's dark and all the doors and windows have disappeared and you can't find your dad. So that's like the experience he's trying to create visually, I guess, and kind of disorientation and this kind of a filtered, obscure, or not obscure, but I guess childlike vision of what things are looking like, but also taking place in the 90s and giving homage to like kind of like retro looking, almost 80s, 70s style, like horror movies.
yes, and because yeah, a lot of it's the I guess visually it's shot looking up from the yeah what would be like I guess a kid's perspective, a kid's point of view. Um,
Yeah, or they're down below, like if some omniscient thing was looking down on you or whatever. But it seems weird that we're talking about the visuals a lot, but that's basically a lot of what the movie was. It's like you said, it's not very story oriented.
and
There's
there is no soundtrack. There's no the only background sound or music is from the TV that's like I don't know if it's a VHS playing or like the TV on a channel that's playing like kids cartoons and like that's kind of like the only thing that's going on in the background. There's no theme song, there's no anything. It's just a lot of quiet time. And there's parts throughout the movie where there's no dialogue and it's just like you're waiting for like the jump scare or something to come up, but there's nothing.
yeah, and like I know that's gonna be like off putting, and I mean it kind of is in a weird way, but I like when I first like my mind wasn't in like ready for it. I guess like I didn't think it was like I said I didn't know what to expect with the movie, and then after a while it starts sinking in that, oh, this is the movie, this is the way it's going to be, or at least for me that's how like my experience was like, oh, okay, so the movie's going to be, so like what are they showing us, and what they're showing us like, or is it just going to be completely random shit that he's just showing us to kind of like troll us, and it's just like garbage, and he's just showing us random shit because he just wants to show us random shit. But I didn't think that was the case, so then I had to start trying to pay attention to like, okay, what is all this, like, okay, what's he trying to tell us without telling us stuff, at least at first they weren't giving much away.
Yes. And kind of I went in with an open mind, just trying to check it out, and didn't quite know what to expect. And as soon as I saw it being yeah like very minimalistic, just trying to pay attention to like okay, so the parents, or at least the dad disappeared, and at one point the kids mentioned, "Oh, I want to talk about mommy," um, and I guess that's kind of one of what considered special effects is where they're what in the living room and you hear like a little chime and like the window disappears or the door disappears, even the at one point the toilet disappears.
Yeah,
So they had little effects here and there, but again it was few and far between, but I guess that was added to the element for the movie.
yeah. The thing that caught my interest, or kind of at the beginning, and it's I mean, not just because it was basically the first significant like times of like moments of dialogue, but it was like I guess you hear the dad's voice on the phone, but they don't really show the dad. It's like some weird random shot of somebody holding the camera to like the roof, which is like, why aren't they showing the dad? But you just hear him on the phone talking about, I guess the son got a head injury, and he's like, it wasn't that bad. He didn't need stitches. And then that's kind of when things started. At least my view of the movie started. Okay, there's a starting point, and that's what I'm kind of going to grab onto, and that's what's going to be like the thing that okay, I'm going to see where that goes because it just felt really weird when I heard him say that because it's like, why would somebody like, especially a father, say like, oh, it wasn't that bad, like he didn't need stitches, like it just seemed it just seemed weird, like it seemed defensive, and it seemed like whoa, like I don't know. So then I started thinking, oh, okay, like, and I did like honestly, and this is gonna be like kind of like my view of it, like okay, like probably all these people are gonna be dead, and it's gonna be some weird thing like that. And I kind of started holding that like thing in my head and seeing if it would kind of go that way or not go that way. But when the dad said that, it just threw up red flags for me.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I see it, like it, and not to be weird or morbid, but like I don't know why, like since there's like, and I maybe that's part of the point, or maybe that's just the byproduct of the way the film was made. Since there's so little dialogue and so little stuff you can visually see going on the screen, like it made me think of other things or make me try to think of other things. Like I started thinking, okay, this kind of reminds me of a game I played called Ascendance. Oh, okay, this kind of reminds me of very elements of Twin Peaks, elements of David Lynch's Inland Empire, Mulholland Drive, and I started thinking all this stuff. And then this other thought, like it started making me think of like Chris Benoit and his thing. And I know there's other stuff in the news where a father kills his kids or mom kills their kids or something like that, and it just started making giving me that vibe early on. And I don't know if that was like a red herring, and I kind of am holding on to something that is not there, but I couldn't shake that feeling that like it started making me think of Chris Benoit,
Mhm.
who I guess if you're not familiar was a professional wrestler who was like super successful and then one day just up and went, I guess had a bad moment or just had this in like this episode, and people would debate on why or who would if it actually happened, but that's kind of bullshit. But or he murdered his wife and his two kids too. Was it two kids or was it?
I think at least one for sure.
Yeah, and he just murdered his kid and then he killed himself. But like it started giving me those weird eerie vibes that I couldn't shake. I don't know, like I don't know like how like what were you feeling like while you were watching it, because like it's kind of hard to like like you're basically creating your own story for the most part at the beginning before they start giving you little details here and there.
Yeah. For me, it was I remember the part about the phone call, but then yeah, when the two kids are talking to each other, and one of them said, I don't want to talk about mommy or why is she crying? That for me that was kind of the thing that like someone here is dead. Not sure if like the kids are dead and the mom's alive, or mom's dead and the kids are alive or something. But that's what I figure. Yeah, there's death here, and there's something going on because again these things are happening, but there's no entity, there's no demon or things being thrown around the house, at least not yet. But um, just seemed like yeah, definitely there's something off. And yeah, with all the darkness, it's just kind of not. tuning out, but just trying to figure out yeah, like where's this going, or yeah, trying to fill in the blanks of where this is going.
Yeah, and that's like another thing. Like since that's another thing, like I started trying to pay attention to late on. Like I would most definitely watch this movie again. I mean, um, but I figured I should have paid more attention at the beginning. But like the things I started paying attention to after a while, maybe after the phone call, which is maybe 5 6 minutes into the movie, is high low angles of the shot, dark and light. I started noticing the dark and the light, and I was like, okay, so like, what's the significance of this dark, and what's the significance of this light? And I don't think it's just like, well, maybe it is. Maybe I'm putting more to it, but like,
No,
I
because
just started thinking,
at one point when things started going weird, I think shortly after the dad disappeared, they emphasized the nightlight on the second floor, and they moved down to the second floor, the kids, because I guess they heard some scary shit upstairs and they didn't want to be down there, up there. And the older sister, she went up there to get something, and the nightlight was unplugged, and um, she makes an effort to plug it back in. So yeah, definitely light and dark is a big um, theme.
and that could play into basically what they're experiencing, and we as an audience are experiencing. Like, I guess light, like things come into light, trying to figure out what's going on. Like they are trying to figure out what's going on. We're in the dark. We're as much in the dark as they are. Like, what the hell's going on? But to them, it's like, where's dad and where's mom and what's going on? Where are the like,
Yeah.
but that's my theory though. Like I started establishing it early on. Like I said that okay, this is some purgatory thing, and that they're all dead. Like I kind of that's my thing that I stuck to early on. I kind of keep that thing now, like until I rewatch it again, maybe. But I was figuring that okay, that there's some purgatory thing, but I couldn't understand like what had happened or how it had happened, and like the significance of other stuff going on. Because then at some point you do hear this, like, I don't know, I guess malevolent voice or evil voice or just disturbing voice. It could be either this, I guess, some type of,
Just an entity.
yeah, or I don't know. I don't want to go that far. I'm trying to pick my words. I don't know, an entity or just it's just like, I don't know, just this like voice,
Mm,
but it's obviously it's not a normal voice. It's menacing, like talking to the kids and stuff. And I guess telling them what to do or what not to do, or if it approves of what they're doing or not approving of it. And it's not like it's very even that thing doesn't even have much dialogue in the movie. Nothing in this movie has much dialogue.
yeah, because just sorry jumping around because that was the other thing stylistically. A lot of the scenes were just like still shots, and like you would hear some talking back and forth of what's going on. But I guess in key shots, they actually showed the camera moving, panning either up, down, or left to right of a certain scene of what was going on. But for the most part, it was almost still shots.
Yeah, and I want to wager. I'm gonna speculate or hypothesize that we're seeing the movie from two different points of view: the young sister, and the young son. It's point of views. So like maybe like that to me is what we're seeing the movie on from their eyes, I guess, and their mental capacities as kids of that age, given this weird situation they're in. And if it's a purgatory, it's a kind of like this nightmarish thing.
Yes, because yeah, I see what you're saying. Because at one point, yeah, for the most part, I guess it all takes place downstairs. But I want to say the sister's the older one. She goes upstairs
Yeah,
to look for the dad. That's when they do the camera pan thing. Because that's a cool scene where he says look under the bed, and then she looks under the bed, comes up, and the mom's on the other side of the bed. And there's some back and forth, and she says, "You need to go back downstairs." And that's when they said like, "There's something here," and the the screen just goes black, like you can't make out what the hell's going on. But then you kind of hear like this wet cracking sound, two wet cracking sounds. So I don't know if that kind of implied like for me like it was like a neck snapping, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember that. But I do like my do take on it like is that whatever the bad stuff that happened upstairs, and that's kind of like that happened upstairs, possibly in the bathroom or something, because I know there's like the toilet. They show the toilet at some point, or but I don't know. But whatever happens to me, like the murdering, like in my head, for my theory, probably happened upstairs, and that's why it's scary to them to go up there because that's they're gonna if they're dead, they're gonna realize it. If and I think like the mom was telling the daughter to close her eyes because she was asking about dad or
That's
something.
right.
And then she closes her eyes, so that's why it kind of hints. Okay, well then we've been seeing the movie from her point of view at least at some point because if it closes its eyes when the mom asks to close her eyes and the camera itself goes black, then we've been kind of watching the movie f- from her point of view,
Hmm.
at least until she at some point disappears too.
Yes,
And then that's just left. I think the son's name was Kevin.
I believe so.
And he leaves Kevin home alone.
Yeah,
And he's more the, I guess, like 4 years old, I want to say about.
looks like it.
And there has to be two different points of view because there's one point where we kind of see the kid, not like in detail, but like he's watching TV, sitting down Indian style, watching TV. Well, I don't know if I can say Indian style anymore, but he's sitting down cross legged watching TV and kind of just see the back of his head and the side of his face. And then there's some point where we see the sister, the back of her hair, and she has kind of like wavy hair. So it's like we're seeing the movie. It's going back and forth, maybe from their two perspectives.
Yeah, and then in the middle, it just seems kind of like no, it's not necessarily say third party, but it's just like them like again, just a not focused shot of trying to like make cereal or something, trying to go in the kitchen to find something to eat, and they're kind of talking back and forth, but it's not really either perspective.
I don't remember that.
I just remember them trying to go into the kitchen, and then it sounded like you can hear like them trying to flip a switch. To me, at least, it sounded like they're trying to turn the light on, and it's just not working. And
Oh yeah, or if it go, I think doesn't it go on and then it gets shut off real quick or something.
I think so. But
But yeah, it's just really hard to like try to categorize. Like I'm trying to think of like how like when you're in high school they do the rising action, the climax, the falling action, or whatever,
yeah,
or the three acts of a
yeah,
movie or
the
story.
third
It's like
act.
it's kind of like I can't remember too much the middle part. It's not like this movie was very eventful, and that's okay. I mean, it's a different like it's a different experience, but like it didn't seem too eventful. I'm trying to remember because in the middle, I'm trying to remember the thing like any stuff that happened. I guess that's when the sister disappears, and I guess you see the kids' blocks, and I think the voice that you hear, like the malevolent voice wanting them to play with the blocks or something. I don't know. Maybe I'm misremembering it. So there's like toys set up in front of the TV, like little Lego blocks, and there's like some one on top of the little castle thing that the blocks are making. And then eventually, at some point, and the thing is disjointed. And the movie may not even take place in the proper order, and it probably doesn't. Like I would, I'm thinking that the movie is not even chronological. Like we don't see the boy, but you just see the toys starting to get picked up. Like he's picking up his toys, and then at some point later on, you see the toys like get thrown back down. Like I think the voice tells, like when the sister goes upstairs to see what's going on, the voice kind of convinces the boy to take his toys out and play some more.
Yeah,
So
because yeah, that probably could have. Because towards the end, I guess, like you said, the sister disappears, and like that's like one of the dramatic visuals because I I guess she had her eyes closed because she was saying she feels weird and she was kind of starting to panic, and it just is like the only close up zoom, well, not necessarily a zoom, but you see her face, and I guess her eyes are closed, and then she doesn't have a mouth. It's like it's just not there, and it looked like the eyes weren't there either, but I guess that they're just closed. Again, it was poor lighting,
no, it
grainy.
wasn't that it was closed. Something was wrong with the eyes. Like it almost looked like, I don't know. They didn't look like they were closed. It did look like, I don't know how to describe it either. Like,
Yeah,
but there was definitely something wrong with the eyes. I don't know if they were stabbed out or whatever or not. Like it was like you could just tell that it wasn't like what they were supposed to be like.
yes. And for me, I would, yeah, like I said, I wouldn't mind rewatching it again just to kind of take it in some more. But I could done without the jump scares. It's just not that there was a lot of jump scares, but considering the movie was very, very quiet the majority of the movie, and then it's like very high pitched, not necessarily a shriek, it's like a high pitched yell.
Yeah, the
And
jump scares were kind of like why it just seemed counter to what the movie was trying to be,
yes,
and like it was intense. Like they were like loud, like way louder. Like okay, we get the point. Like it probably would have worked better if it wasn't as loud, maybe, or just not
yeah,
be as annoying. But there's only a couple of them, and maybe they were just obligatory or whatever. Like you had to put them in or whatever. Studio says put at least a couple jump scares in or loud, abrupt noises.
yeah,
But I'm just gonna give my theory on the movie,
yeah,
and I kind of told you on the thing too, like on the ride home. I've I figured to me and like it did remind me of this Chris Benoit incident. Like I think just one day this evil came into this house, and I don't know necessarily how just like describe evil, but just this bad thing happened in the house where likely it was the father that murdered the family. And I want to say evil is represented by that voice, that like, real like malevolent voice, whether it be the father's voice kind of distorted or some other actual evil with its own voice saying the things to the kids. But anyway, something happens. The dad murders the kids and the wife. And this is my thing. And it's not like I have hardcore support for it, but this is my take on it. And then they're all in this purgatory. And it's not the only movie that's ever done this, but like they're trying to figure out, the kids are trying to figure out. And it makes sense in a way because the doors are disappearing, have disappeared, and the windows have disappeared. So they're stuck. They can't get out. And later on, like door will become a significant thing, like or like I guess the exit. So to me, they're in this purgatory, and they don't know that they're dead yet. They're trying to figure that out, and it's the demonic voice is trying to prevent them from finding out that they're dead because he wants them to stay in that perpetual loop or just be there, stuck in that house forever, not knowing what's happened and not knowing, like, just being trapped there, not getting out. So the sister is the first one who eventually tries to, I guess, be slightly defiant to it and leave and venture upstairs and question where's dad and things and that. And she disappears. So it just leaves Kevin. And eventually, I'm trying to remember, like, I guess somehow he's able to find the phone, or there's some part in the movie like
Yeah,
where he's makes that phone call where you hear his phone, like towards the end, his call to the police.
yeah, because when shit starts getting weird, when everything starts disappearing, at the kind of the beginning, mid-movie, you can hear him pick up the phone and you can tell he's trying to call 911, hits the three buttons, and it's just like no dial tone. And then at some point, there's a cue towards the end that everything's normal again, and he dials 911, and that's when the call does go through, and he's talking to an operator. At least that's what it seems.
Yeah,
And
and just this.
there's a back and forth with the operator for a few minutes, and then the phone just drops, and like that's it. Then like the operator's like he's like, "Are you still there?" or something like that, and like it just cuts to the next scene or something.
Yeah, and then like I guess towards the end of the movie, like they start, which is kind of weird. It seems like it just seems slow and kind of dragging it for the most two-thirds of the movie, and then at the end, it all of a sudden decides to try to, I guess, in a way, explain more instead of spacing it out. It just kind of more than it's done in the past, or like the previous, I don't know, 40 minutes, 45 minutes, starts kind of spewing out information a little bit, I guess, not a lot, but and then like they show this visual to me that kind of like explains the whole movie, where it's like this, like, I don't know, this visual hourglass. Were you able to kind of see that image or no? Where like they show this hourglass where the toys, because at various parts through the movie there's children's toys that come out. I guess we should have mentioned that. And it's just weird because at different points they're on the floor, and then at some points they're on the wall, and then some points things are on the ceiling where things are just like disoriented. And then towards the end, like there's that, I don't know, did you make out that hourglass image? It was real subtle, but like it looked like an hourglass, and I will try to see if I can find it online maybe before we post this. But did you see that hourglass picture?
I know what scene you're talking about. I didn't it didn't click to me to think of an hourglass. I thought that the design looked kind of weird, like I would say a V or something, but I didn't register the hourglass. But I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, because that kind of, to me, like it just kind of explains like everything visually, because it's like this thing that this family has been trapped in this house. They've been trapped because they died there, they were killed there, something bad happened there, and it's using the toys as like the grains of sand. And some, like half of the hourglass was in the light, and half of the hourglass was in the darkness. The dark half you couldn't really see too well, obviously, because it's dark and the movie's really grainy and hard to see, make stuff out. But if you think of it that way, like the movie, the events of this movie that we're watching are like drops from an hourglass or sand from the hourglass. Sometimes we're seeing ones from the dark side, or the ones that have fallen into the dark portion of the hourglass. And then sometime at some point the hourglass eventually shifts back to where some of the stuff is falling the other way, and then like the toys will get stuck to the wall, or the memories will repeat, or things will be here and there, slightly dark, slightly light. And then for some reason I didn't really like that they did that. But at some point in the movie at the end it shows 535 days or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah,
So it kind of letting you know that, hey, a lot of time has passed. I
yeah,
guess almost 2 years.
almost, yeah. But whatchamacallit. Yeah, it's pretty weird.
But I don't know what the hourglass thing. It to me, then it makes it like okay. So it's just that's why things are so disoriented. Like, and then eventually, my take on it is that the boy figures it out at the end. He figures it out because he's able to find this doorway, this weird magical doorway. Do
Hmm.
you remember that?
I'm not sure.
And like he finds this doorway, and they emphasize the doorway, which is interesting since all the doors have disappeared, or not all the doors, but all the exits have disappeared, the doors and the windows. So my take on that is that he kind of realized was coming to a realization about what's going on, like what's happening, and he's finding that door since all the doors have, he's kind of piecing things together as best he can, being a 4 year old kid or whatever,
Yeah.
or maybe, and then he's able to go through the door. I'm assuming. I think he does. I'm trying to remember. I want to watch it again. But anyway, he goes through the door, which is like him crossing the threshold of like knowledge. He's kind of becoming aware of things. And I think is that when his face kind of like we kind of see a face in the darkness at the end. That's basically kind of like where the movie ends, is where we see this kind of face coming out of the darkness in a way, right?
Yeah, but I don't know if if that was the kid or if that was referencing like that entity because at that point the kids I think twice asked like who are you? And that's when the face kind of starts to kind of come into the screen. Then he asks again, "Who are you?" And it never responds, and then I guess it fades out again. So not sure if it was the it kind of doing a tease reveal and like backing out, or if that was actually the kid.
All right. Yeah, I got to pay attention better than towards the end. And my take on it was that it was the kid because it's like they're distorted, like their thing is distorted throughout the whole movie. We don't get a clear image of them. And him being able to find the door is him being able to find an escape out of this loop, this finding a way out of the hourglass because he's able to kind of like find the way out. And then I think it leaves it to the viewer to give him a face, like to for us to project them. Like, did he save himself? Is left to us. Like, are we able? Because I'm glad they didn't show the face. Like in my head, it was the kid, but it didn't come into focus. It could be the thing. Like maybe I'm completely off, and it is the evil entity or whatever. But in my head, it's the kid, the boy breaking free of this loop, and almost to the point to where he's almost humanized because he's not been humanized. He's been lost in time in this loop, and it's up to us to do the final rescue and project some type of visual face onto that.
No.
So I don't know. That's what my taking on it was, but I would have to watch that again.
Yeah, I would watch it again as well just to kind of get a feel for it. But yeah, anyone trying to go in to watch the movie thinking it's gonna be like a slasher flick or blood and guts, it's not that type of movie. It's a real slow burn.
And even like people that complain about like found footage movies, like Paranormal Activity and things like that, where this is even like less than that, like less going on and less visually than like a CCTV cam.
Yeah.
So it's like less quality and less stuff going on. Although I told you my main complaint about this movie was that it wasn't long enough and they explained too much. So that's my takeaway from it. When you see whoever sees it that it
Yeah.
was too short and they explained too much.
I can see a lot of people, if I guess when it comes on Shutter or whatever, that they're either gonna turn it off right away or they're gonna be like on their looking on their phones 90% of the movie, just waiting for that payoff or like something to like, oh, look, I need to look
Yeah,
at the screen. But
yeah. But like I can appreciate it being weird. Like I do appreciate it. I mean, I'm not gonna like argue and yell at you if you don't like it and be all like you're dumb and stuff like that, or what's wrong with you? How can you not see how artistically great this movie is, or how visionary it is?
yeah.
But I don't know. I'm weird. I would much rather watch like 10 movies like this than like one Avengers movie.
Or watch the movie 10 times.
Yeah. So I don't know.
But what say you? Think that's a good wrapping up spot?
Yeah, like maybe we can always revisit it once we see it again. I just want to say, like, yeah, it reminded me of Asemblance. So maybe you can put the link to that game or trailer for that game, Asemblance. And there's this YouTube series called Hi, I'm Mary Mary that probably, if you watch that series, you'd probably be more entertained. But it's kind of very similar vein as this movie, I
Mm,
guess. But you should check that out. Hi, I'm Mary Mary. Like it's pretty interesting. Like they're all like it's done over years, and like each episode is like maybe like 6 minutes long or whatever. And it's just like this girl's posted maybe an episode every couple years or whatever.
oh wow.
But yeah, I would say check that out. Hi, I'm Mary Mary and Assemblance. And then also like PT, like it was like PT, which is also like Twin Peaks, the Red Room and stuff like that. It kind of just reminded me a lot of stuff like that. So if you're into weird shit like that, then you probably will get more out of it, I guess.
Nice. Would you say this is the movie of the year?
Uh, I would not say that, but
But yes, we'll wait till it comes out again. We'll rewatch and try and revisit this with possibly more notes or just anything we may have missed or more interpretation.
sounds good.